Welcome to Talmudic Treasures. Today we're learning Nazir, page 25, which discusses a situation where a woman made the declaration of becoming a Nazir, and she designated money, but she didn't specifically say that this money is for a particular sacrifice, but she just had a big amount of money for the sake of the three offerings, namely an elevation offering, the peace offering, as well as the sin offering. And she didn't say that this money is for this money is for this, but it was specifically for that. And then her husband annulled her vow. So the law is she's not a Nazir anymore. So the question is, what do we do with this money? Because she can't bring these sacrifices, because these sacrifices are connected to her being a Nazir. She's not a Nazir. So we said that she can take all of this money, and it could be given as what's called a nedava. When it comes to sacrifices, it wasn't only when you had to bring a sacrifice. Like, for example, on Passover, you have to bring a paschal lamb, a carbon Pesach. If a person sins, you have to bring a sin offering under certain circumstances. But on the other hand, if you want to just give a free will offering because you want to be able to give and to connect to God in bringing offerings, that was something that was also allowed. So therefore we said in this situation, so she's not a Nazir, but we have all this money which is earmarked for sacrifices, so let her bring all of this as a nedava. And on this, the question is, how is that allowed? Because mixed in that money is money specifically earmarked for all three animals. Now we don't know specifically, again, that $100 for this, $200 for this, but certainly she was planning on paying for all three of her animals, all three of her sacrifices with all this money. Now, one of them is a sin offering. And the problem is that apparently, in the event that a person would fall into this circumstance where she didn't actually do anything wrong, she didn't sin, she's not even a Nazir. According to many opinions, maybe she didn't sin at all if she remained pure throughout the whole process. So in that situation, why then is she allowed to bring all this money? The money then is earmarked specifically for a sin offering. If, let's say, you already achieved atonement and you still have this money lying around, you're not allowed to use it, because you can't use it for a sacrifice, because that sacrifice has to be for the sin offering, because if it was specifically for that. And if you want to spend that money on your own, you can, because it has holiness and sanctity connected to it. So it literally says you have to throw into the Dead Sea. You have to throw into the Yam HaMelech, which means you cannot have any benefit from this money. And that's the law. Even though you would think maybe you could benefit from that money, you can help people with that money, but it has holiness and sanctity, but you can't buy a sin offering with it because you didn't do anything to deserve to bring a sin offering. So this money is in a status of limbo. So the question is, how then do we say that all of this money is allowed to be given as a nedava when mixed in it is sin offering money? So there's two answers. And one answer is an easy one to remember, because according to the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan, he says it's a halacha l'Moshe Sinai. Namely, this was a law in which was specifically given to Moshe and the Jewish people at Har Sinai, in Mount Sinai. We find this many times. Now, even though a person could say this doesn't seem logical, it doesn't make any sense, because, as I said, they should not be allowed to use this money entirely as a nedava. There is sin offering money in it, so you would think that you can't do it, and logic would dictate you can't. But sometimes the Talmud just tells us halacha l'Moshe Sinai. This is a law which you may not completely understand, but this is a law that was given to Moshe at Mount Sinai, and therefore we must follow it regardless of whether it makes sense to us or not. And we find this many times in the Torah, that there are things that we may not understand, which are called chukim. And one could say, what's the point of it? Shouldn't it be that we understand everything that we're doing? And we know in this world, there are so many mysteries. There's so many things that no one understands. And it would be foolish for a person to think that we have all the answers. But the point is that just like we recognize in this world, we don't have all the answers, but it is a reality that we still live in this world, and we try to learn as much as possible. So too here, when we observe the Torah, we try to learn and understand everything, but we also have to realize that we do not know it all.